When you take a solo, are you still just playing single notes? Are you getting bored of playing just one note, one note, one note? And when you hear others take a solo, you hear double stops, dyads, triads, and other tricks that make their solos sound so much bigger and harmonically interesting. And how do they do that? Is it just a matter of memorizing a few licks? Well, not exactly. There's a concept behind it. And if we understand that simple concept, then we can add these same kind of double stops to any solo at any moment over any chord. One of the easiest places to play double stops is in your easy major pentatonic shape. Double stops work so well in major pentatonic because they kind of embody the sound of major. They fit over major chords really well. So let's just take C major pentatonic. I'm going to put my pinky on 8th fret of the bottom string. That's a C note. And I'm going to play easy shape. Now, in its simplest form, one of the things you can do to get that double stop sound is just to grab any two notes at once. Well, that sounds almost too simple, but it actually works really well. It worked for Jimi Hendrix, so we can do it. The cool thing about the major pentatonic easy shape is that there are 3 notes right here, all in a row, and they're very important notes. In fact, they're 3 notes of the major chord, the root major chord, in this case, C. And here's why. If you know how to play your standard C bar chord shape, there's those notes again. They're right there. So let's try a couple of the easy ways to do it. This is what I call the Jimi Hendrix hammer and pull. We have these 3 notes in C major pentatonic. We can lay our first finger there and hammer the D string 7th fret or the G string 7th fret. And you'll notice what I'm doing is the Hendrix thing is I'm just kind of sweeping my pick. And it sounds very cool because we hear one note change and one note stay the same. And that's all in C major pentatonic. It's right there in our easy shape, right? Now let's connect it to the C bar chord. This is what I call the most useful lick I've ever learned. You've probably seen it in one of my videos. If I take that C major bar chord, I'm going to hit the root, I'm going to strum the chord, and then I'm going to do a little lick that walks me into the easy shape of C major pentatonic. Now look what I have. There's my C chord in that little formation, right? There we go. Now I have my little Hendrix hammers, my double stop hammers. Let's put that together. C. I added the A string hammer there too. So once you do the slide up, you can hammer any of the G string, the D string, or the A string. And they're all 5/7, 5/7, 5/7. So easy. That's why we call it the C major pentatonic easy shape. So in fact, what you could do is you could just find little places in any pentatonic shape where you can grab 2 notes at the same time, and you have basically instant double stops. And I've seen some students who got very good at this. They just grab them almost randomly. But there's a lot more to double stops. And double stops we can use to move up and down the fretboard, and we can use to harmonize melodic lines in our solos. That's where it gets really interesting. So let's do the quick version first. Without all the theory, you could just memorize that whenever you see this chord shape, or that whenever you're in C major pentatonic easy shape, you have this lick. Sound familiar? Probably. It's in so many songs, and for good reason, because it sounds awesome. So let's connect it to the chord using the most useful lick I ever learned. some tabs for these for free on my website. The link is below. And we've got lots more tabs plus the jam track plus practice tips for this concept on our Patreon. So you can check that out. Link is below. Now we're combining the kind of Hendrix double stops where we hammer on through this pentatonic shape with a harmonized little melody. And we have a very cool kind of old school R&B sound. And it can be used in many different genres. So now we know where to find the lick. It means that anytime we have one of these kind of chord shapes, and that's a lot of times, isn't it? Then we can use this trick. So let's say we just want to move it up to the 4 chord of C. The 4 chord of C is F. Well, there's an F bar chord, and so therefore there's that little shape, that little F bar chord, and so therefore here is the double stops thirds. It's right there. So without the track, if I wanted to just be my own kind of soloing and chord player at the same time, I could go from C to F using the most useful lick. Here's C, F, C, F. It's pretty easy, right? Now there's something funny about doing it on that 4 chord is that if we keep the same shapes for harmonizing that, we are actually playing a note that's out of key. But it doesn't seem to matter almost ever. And in fact, there are a lot of famous songs that do it right off the top, like Brown Eyed Girl does it right in the intro. 1 chord to the 4 chord using basically this trick. So 5 chord would be G. F is 4, C is 1. Now in a bluesy context, there's another double stop that we can add into this series, and it sounds very cool. It's very Stevie Ray Vaughan and a lot of players from that era. So let's take what we had was, and we're just gonna add one chromatically in there. Now it's very bluesy, and actually it's quite country as well, right? Let's see if we can still make it work on this little R&B style track. Actually sounds really cool there too, right? There's a lot of dissonance on that. There's notes out of key for sure. It's a blue note, in fact, right? One of those is the blue note. And so that's why it sounds cool. It sounds bluesy and kind of country, and it sure works on this track anyway. So the bluesy version works really well backwards too. In fact, it's a very common turnaround, you'd say. Right? Or we can take that blue note back out and play those notes descending through this kind of style. Notice that there are many different ways that we can make this trick sound different by using hammer-ons or slides or playing them in a different order as we did. Hammer-ons can be like that, right? Slides. Or I could pick the individual strings separately so that they're not always together. Pretty cool. Or backwards. could use some pick and fingers, hybrid picking, to make the two notes sound very together. Now there are lots of different ways of playing double stops on the guitar. We can do them in thirds, we can do them in fourths, we can do them in fifths, we can do them in sixths. There are lots of options, but the main point I want to make is just get good at one for now and make sure that you're learning it not just as a memorized lick in a specific place on the fretboard, but that you know how to use it in any key for any major chord in this case. And a lot of the licks that I'm playing in this video are actually just taken from other videos on my channel and on my Patreon group. I'm gonna put another one of those videos right here on the screen here for you. You can check that out or try our Patreon. It's Guitar Lessons Vancouver. And my name is Blue Morris and I teach guitar lessons here in Vancouver, Canada. I'll see you in the next one.